I think that was maybe day 4. Day 4? Day 5? Day 4, I think. Hey y'all, Brian with Be a Little Fishing here. Welcome back. If this is your first time on the channel, I like to fish with my boys. I fish solo. We do pond fishing and lake fishing from the shore and from the boat, and we like to bring you along for the adventure. Tackle Tuesday is a new segment where I'm going to talk about what I've been catching them on, where I'm catching them, any new tackle purchases that I've made, and as the channel evolves, I want to include you to show off some of the cool catches that you've made as well. All right, let's go. All right, just for frame of reference, I'm fishing in northern Illinois in the Chicago suburbs. Right now, we have weather. Sometimes, in the mornings, it's in the low to mid 30s. Sometimes it's 60 degrees. It's really varying a lot right now. So that's something to consider as you're thinking about what I'm going to talk about. It may not be 100% applicable to you. Mileage may vary. More shallow than a nice big lake that's, 18, 20, 30 foot deep. So when the fall transitioning is happening here, it is in those smaller bodies of water, it happens differently than it would in a larger body of water. It can happen seemingly overnight where you'll be catching fish, let's say on a pumpkin Senko, and you're catching them every day of the week, 2, 3, 4 out of the same pond. And then just like that, it stops. So then that you have to really change up your presentation. There's often a period of time for a couple of days to a couple of weeks where the fish just don't really bite at all. So that's something to contend with as well. But you can get real creative, again, changing up your presentation, even with the same bait sometimes, and catching them that way. So right now I'm at the tail end. I'm at day 6 of 7 of a pond hopping tour, and I've been trying to fish different baits and see what I can catch them on. And I'm going to show you right here. The first bait that I've had pretty good luck with is this Terminator Jig. So this is a green pumpkin Terminator Jig. Terminator is a Rapala brand. You'll notice there on the back that it has a nice little rattle. So when you're bumping it along the bottom, you're going to grab those fish's attention. I have a green pumpkin bandito bug trailer on there also. That's a Guggenbait's product. This is a 3/8 ounce jig. Interesting fact, I didn't catch them this week like you would think on a jig. Typically when you're fishing a jig, you're bumping it across the bottom, which is why it's got the rattle on there. And you've got some kind of a trailer fluttering behind it while you've got the skirt pulsing. And it looks like some sort of creature or critter scurrying across the bottom and makes those, bass react to it. John Austin and I happened to be at a pond where it was very small, didn't seem to be anything going on there, and all of a sudden he had a bass come out of the water going after his jig. Missed it, but took a swipe at it. So he went back in for it, and just a few minutes later pulled out a 2-pound 4-ounce bass out of just a tiny pond. So I'll put a picture of that right here. So I said, you know what? I'm going to tie on a jig. And he happened to be fishing a black and blue jig. We only had one of those. So I grabbed this green pumpkin jig, threw that guy on, started working my way around the pond, got back around to the same spot where he'd caught his bass, and caught 2 within 4 casts right there. So I'll show you pictures of those right here. We didn't catch those the normal way you would catch them. So we were actually burning those jigs in. And when I say burning, I don't mean just cranking them in. I mean cranking them in pretty fast. So it was really, something that needed to grab that fish's attention for him to bite on it. Both of mine I caught mid-crank coming across just a little cove, and they would hit it sideways, bend the rod over, and it was a blast to catch them. One of them was maybe about a pound, and then the second one I caught was a pound 13 ounces. it felt like a 2 or 3 pounder when he hit, because I mean, he nailed that thing, crushed it, and then just started going the other direction. I actually had my drag a little looser than I would have preferred, so I struggled just for a minute getting him in, but got him in. It was a blast. The day after that, went and visited another new neighborhood pond, and looked like a really nice spot. As I worked my way around the pond, I ended up finding a spot where I got bit on the spinnerbait a couple of times, and I really thought I had them, but felt like they were smaller bass. So got the rod bent over, I'm cranking, and then all of a sudden they were gone. So I don't know if they're just grabbing the blades or had this, the hook in their mouth sideways and just didn't really have it through the lip. So lost those guys and thought, I'm going to throw something that might get their attention, but also something they could get their mouth around other than a spinnerbait. I was fishing a 3/8 ounce full-size spinnerbait with double willow blades, Terminator spinnerbait actually, and they just couldn't get their mouth around it. So I switched up to the Saucy Swimmer Swimbait from Guggen Baits. This is the electric shad color. This is the 3.8 inch. They have two sizes. They have a 3.3 and a 3.8. So I opted for the bigger one. I'm fishing this with a 1/8 ounce underweight swimbait hook that just has the regular screw lock head on it, like most swimbait hooks. I wasn't getting any bites whenever I would just cast, and I would fast roll it, slow roll it, wasn't getting any attention. And then I thought, I'm going to change up my retrieve a little bit. So I think it was the second or third time I cast out, I cranked 4 or 5 times, and then I'd let it die, crank 4 or 5 times, let it die, and felt some hits. And then just as I was getting to the edge of a mat, I felt a stronger hit, and then you know where I'm going. Started pulling the line out, lowered the rod tip, and as soon as the line got tight, set the hook, skied that guy across the mat. It turned out to be a pretty small fish, and just brought him in a hurry. It was a lot of fun still, though. It was the first bass I ever caught on a swim bait. I've caught bass on little tiny, power bait jigs that are, I guess, miniature swim baits, but it was the first bass I ever caught on a full-size swim bait. It was a lot of fun. I'll show you a picture of that guy right here. The next bait that I was having really good luck with this week, yesterday in particular, but even in the past few weeks, is a little finesse spinnerbait. So this is a Booyah Baits. This is a Pond Magic. This color is called Hornet, with the black and chartreuse mix, with the flake colors in the skirt, with a nice silver willow leaf blade and a chartreuse Colorado blade mixed in there with a little red bead. This is a 3/16 ounce, so it is a finesse spinnerbait. Real small profile, great for pond fishing. That's why they call it the Pond Magic. When I fish these, I don't fish them with a trailer, because a lot of times the fish that are going after them, their mouths might not be that big. So I've actually caught sunfish, not huge, maybe hand-sized sunfish on these little finesse spinnerbaits like this. Which that's a blast, because those guys, if you caught, any decent-sized sunfish, they fight like crazy. When I'm throwing these guys, I'm throwing this on a spinning rig. So I've got a little Lew's, I don't remember the model number, but it's a smaller model, like a 2000 size, that makes sense, spinning reel. And I've got a medium action 6.6 spinning rod that I fish that on. So those finesse spinnerbaits are a lot of fun to fish with. A lot of times in ponds, I'll actually fish them parallel to the bank. I'll go maybe about 3 feet out from the bank and just reel them parallel. Had a lot of good bites that way. where they really come in handy is like yesterday. So I went to a brand new pond, walked up. Before I even got there, got to the pond itself, I got out of my car. I noticed it was pretty windy and thought, okay, it's spinnerbait time. So I tied that guy on, walked into the pond. Sure enough, it was pretty choppy, and started throwing the spinnerbait a little bit. Caught one bass on the spinnerbait fairly quickly. Switched to that saucy swimmer, throwing that guy around a little bit. No action at all, not a peck, not anything. So just worked my way around the pond a little bit, throwing that finesse spinnerbait, and caught 4 bass total in a 1 hour time frame. So it was an absolute blast to catch those guys. I like them enough that this evening after fishing, I stopped by Walmart because I wanted to pick up some different colors of those spinnerbaits. I'll show you what we got here. This is the craw color with a nice silver willow leaf blade and a gold Colorado blade. I've got Firebug here that has a nice, they've got the chartreuse willow leaf blade and an orange Colorado blade. That is a chartreuse orange and pumpkin colored skirt on it with the yellow and green, chartreuse and green head. Got Firefly here that's all chartreuse all the way around. So those in the more plain, I'll say plain patterns, $2.24 at Walmart, which is a pretty good deal. If you end up losing one, it's not like you got a $10 spinnerbait tied on. It's not the end of the world. But I picked this guy up as well. This is the Nest Robber. This one's pretty sick. It's got a kind of, looks like a custom painted blade there, with kind of a craw pattern on it. It's got a really cool colored skirt, and then it's got the silver Colorado blade. Sorry, that's a gold Colorado blade on there. It's a gold one. But that one's pretty slick. This one, because I guess the different blade and maybe the other pattern on the skirt, I don't know, was $4.24. So this one's a little bit more expensive, but wanted to try it just because of the cool color pattern and see how it is. See how it does. Another thing I picked up was a little chatterbait. So this is an 1/8 ounce chatterbait. So I fished full-size chatterbaits before. Was fishing one earlier today, but talking about scaling your presentation down to really attract that bite, I hadn't seen these before and wanted to pick up one of these little micro chatterbaits, throw this around in some ponds and see if I can't get bit on this. You'll see that in a video in the next couple of days. Me trying that out and seeing what we can do there. The biggest purchase that I made this past week was a brand new rod and reel combo. This is the Lose Xfinity combo. This is a Walmart exclusive. I think I saw it on YouTube. Somebody maybe talking about it. I don't even know if I saw it, but happened to be on Walmart's site and looked, and one of the Walmarts near me did have some. So they're $97 before tax. I happen to have a discount on it as well. So I picked it up for just about $89. This is a 7.5-to-1 gear ratio reel, 8 ball bearing brakes, really smooth reel. And they've got that on top of a 610 medium heavy fast action speed stick. So it's got the wind grips, just like you're used to on these Lose combos. Super comfortable, easy to grab a hold of, easy to really winch on a fish whenever you get them. I've caught a few fish on this already, and I tell you what, if you are looking for a new bait casting combo, before you go out and spend $200, $300, $400 on something, check your local Walmarts, see if they have these. If they do, just go check it out. Get it down, play with it, see how you like it. For $97, under $100, I think it has to be one of the very best combos on the market. I mean, it, it's a really, really good combo. I don't know what else to say about it. I like it enough that when I walked into Walmart into the fishing section, I saw a guy that had that exact same combo in his hands, just kind of checking it out. I walked right up to him and just said, "Hey, I bought that same combo earlier this week and I love it. It is a really, really good product for the price. So if you're looking for a new combo, you should get that." That's what I told him. And you know, he said thank you, and right before he put it back. So he was there buying some fishing jigs. So he and I talked about tackle for a minute. But one thing I said in a previous video, and I'll say it again, is Lew's, thank you for putting out a really high quality product at an entry level price point. So even for people who are just getting into bait casting, have access to a product that's not going to let them down, that's going to help them be more successful on the water. It's not going to give them a bad impression of fishing with a bait caster or fishing with a Lew's product. So highly recommend that if you're looking for a new bait casting combo. Well, that's it for the very first episode of Tackle Tuesday. I hope you liked what you saw. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what kind of tackle maybe I should be trying that I didn't talk about. Let me know what you're using to catch fish on. And again, as this evolves, I want to make sure I'm featuring you guys and the tackle that you're using and the fish that you're catching on it. But most importantly, go out, do some fishing, and I'll see you next time.